Testing, testing. I'd like to thank everybody for attending the post-fight press conference. As you guys know, today we had an unfortunate situation with Matt getting sick, which created a situation where Fedor, we didn't have time to put an opponent together. But I can promise you this, that we talked already about a time frame, which we'll announce shortly. But he's looking forward to getting back into the cage, and we're looking forward to having him fight. So I think in the next couple months, Fedor will be in the cage for Bellator fighting against an opponent. Now, and somebody might say, or you guys might ask, is it going to be Matt? I'm not sure, because I'm not sure how, Matt's illness is, how long it will take, or if it's going to be a continuing situation. And we can talk about the timeline and everything like that. But while Fedor is here, for the next couple minutes, if you guys have any questions, I feel like maybe it's a good time to ask him any questions you might have from the media.
First, if we could just ask Fedor just kind of what his emotions were tonight when he found out that he wouldn't be fighting, how it played out in his head.
Федор, какие были у вас эмоции сегодня, когда вы узнали, что боя не будет?
Первое, что первые эмоции, которые испытал, конечно, удивление.
The first emotions, that was a big surprise.
Когда Скотт сказал, что мы это уже отвезли в больницу.
When Scott told that Matt got to the hospital.
Это жизнь, надо все принимать так, как есть.
But that's the life, and we have to accept it the way it is.
Произошло то, что может случиться, в принципе, с каждым в любой момент.
That can happen with anybody at any moment.
There were talks of maybe trying to get a late replacement opponent. People like Chael Sonnen and Tito Ortiz said that they would step in. Would you have preferred to fight somebody like that on short notice, or are you fine with the way it happened to not compete?
Были разговоры.
I'd like to interject. One thing is, when those calls were coming in, I wasn't relaying them to Fedor at that time. So I don't even think he knows about the Tito situation or the Chael. We didn't really mention it to him.
Well, okay, then can we ask if he would have appreciated a late replacement opponent, or if he felt this was the right decision given what was going on?
Были различные предположения о какой-либо замене. Хотели бы все-таки вы продолжить соревнование, участвовать в бою с заменой, или все-таки вот то решение, которое было принято, это более удобное решение?
Я думаю, что за несколько часов до боя менять соперника это не совсем правильно.
Well, I think it's not really very right to change the opponent just in few hours before the fight at such a short notice.
Поэтому мной и руководством Bellator было принято решение перенести бой.
That's why that my decision and the decision of Bellator was to postpone the fight.
Thanks, Fedor. Scott, if I just could quickly follow up with you, maybe if you could explain the rationale between just deciding not to try to throw somebody in there, and also, we've seen nights like tonight impact some other promotions pretty bad. Cripple some promotions. Can you talk about what the impact was for Bellator tonight, and moving forward as well?
Yeah, I think that the fans of San Jose came out and supported us, and I feel really good about that. And we'll see on Monday or Tuesday how the ratings do. But, let's face it. This is a big, big fight for us. And, it didn't happen. So is Fedor happy about it? No. Are we happy about it? No. But believe me, we'll be back. We're going to Belfast next week. And then we'll be back with the Rampage Jackson fight against King Mo, who's here, by the way. And then we're going to, and then hopefully we'll have something to announce maybe in the next week or two about when Fedor will fight. But, we'll get back back on the horse and do it. But you don't have to worry about us going anywhere. And we talked about that earlier, like with Chael Sonnen. Like, why wouldn't we have offered Chael as an opponent? Well, because we have other plans for Chael, and it would have interfered in that, and it just got complicated. And then the time frame, really, I just felt like we ran out of time. So we set a deadline internally because as people were showing up to the venue, we had to let them know that the main event, Fedor is not fighting, that Josh Thompson versus Pitbull will now be the main event. So we had obligation to the consumer to let them know that this fight is going to be off. And really, that 3 o'clock mark was like, okay, this is it. Like it's going to go down. So all the rumors before that were just rumors. There was a time where I got a call saying, hey, I think that this could still happen. And then at 3 o'clock, we pulled the plug.
All right, guys, we're going to take two more. Meltzer and then Gareth.
As far as I mean, and this is actually for Scott. When it comes to names like that, like at the last minute, I mean, can they be licensed and everything at that late a date? Is it actually possible to do that?
You know, I mean, there's a lot of people that, you know, started texting me, and you know, half of them were not licensed. There's no way we could get them licensed in the state. You know, Chael was one of the guys that was texting me, but he is licensed in the state because he just fought, you know, with Tito last month. So, but there's still some paperwork to be done, and it just got to the point where, you know, when we got to that late hour, and we said, look, we got to make a decision, and I made the decision to pull the plug and move forward.
Did Fedor know as the week was going on? I mean, because from what I understand, and I could be wrong, that Matt was, you know, having trouble like during the week, but he thought he could fight. And is it true that Matt wanted to fight at the end? Because that's the other thing that I heard.
Yeah, when I saw Matt yesterday at the weigh-ins, you know, he's usually pretty happy and upbeat, and just, you know, I just thought he was nervous, and he said, you know, I got a little twinge in my side, and I said, well, you better go check it out, you know, but I really didn't think anything of it. And then this morning when I got up, I started getting the text. I said, hey, take him to the hospital. And then by the time the tests were run, they found out that, you know, he was in the process of passing a kidney stone. So that's really what the issue was that, you know, he's not healthy to fight. But it's just unfortunate that when you think about the timing of all this coming together, you know, and then the 5 or 6 hours of making this fight happen, it just wasn't meant to be.
Gareth.
Scott, could you, just a quick question for both Fedor and Scott, could you give us the anatomy of the timeline from when you first heard about this, and then take us up to 3 o'clock today, through today?
Yeah, I mean, I had heard some rumblings, you know, like Dave said, around Thursday, you know, oh, you know, they thought he had indigestion, or I honestly thought he was just getting nervous a little bit, and I said, oh yeah, we'll talk tomorrow, and then he just got progressively worse, and so, you know, this morning, after the weigh-ins, that's when I said, hey, how you doing? And he's like, yeah, I got a little thing in my side, and this morning I started getting texts from my guys saying, hey, you know, there could be a situation, and I said, well, take him to the doctor and find out what's wrong. And they went to the hospital.
Was there a time on that, Scott?
Yeah, that was probably around, I want to say 10 o'clock, you know. And then when you get to the doctors or the hospital, it took time for those tests to run and come back. But when the test came back that he had a kidney stone issue, and, you know, then we knew the fight was off. And that was really right around that 2:45, 3 o'clock time frame.
Question.
And a quick question for Fedor. What was the timeline of you knowing what was happening behind the scenes?
Вопрос к вам, Федор. Когда вы узнали относительно времени о том, что происходит, что вот случилось с Мэттом и что бой, возможно, не состоится?
Точно я узнал в 3 часа. То есть до 3 часов мы еще обсуждали. То, что случилось с Мэттом, я узнал в час.
So,
примерно в час.
Yeah, just around 1 p.m. today, I found out, I was told what actually happened to Matt, but the final decision was made at 3 o'clock.
До 3 часов еще мы ждали звонка, что, возможно, бой состоится, что может все обойтись благополучно.
We were waiting for the call from the hospital till 3 o'clock, and we hoped maybe, you know, everything will be okay, and maybe the fight would be able to.
Ну, в 3 часа, я так понимаю, что.
But at 3 o'clock, as far as I understood.
Дали подтверждение, что Мэтт не может биться.
Yeah, well, at 3 o'clock, as I understood, the confirmation was given that Matt could not participate in the fight.
So those two, in your fight career, are those two of the most frustrating hours that you've ever experienced, between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock?
Как вы думаете, во время вашей спортивной карьеры вот эти 2 часа между часом и 3, это были самые такие вот ужасно тяжелые часы?
Почему?
Well, they were not the most frustrating. Why?
Я просто ждал.
Igor?
Просто ждали. И...
We just were waiting.
No, two questions in Russian, is it possible? Yeah. Федор Владимирович, скажите, пожалуйста, для вас в какой момент удобно провести вот следующий бой? Думали ли вы уже об этом? И удобно ли его провести в ближайшие 2 месяца, допустим, как сейчас говорил Скотт? И сильно ли вы переживали по поводу отмены боя с Дмитрием?
A further question to you in Russian are, what will be the most convenient moment for you to have the fight which is postponed? Which moment will be, did you think about that? Which moment will be the most convenient?
О дате боя я думаю, Скотт объявит в ближайшее время.
I think at nearest time Scott will announce the date for the fight.
Для меня, конечно, я уже сказал Скотту, после мая, июнь, то есть без разницы, но чтобы хорошо подготовиться, мне надо пару месяцев.
Well, I did tell Scott already about it. I think that maybe May or June, so that time. So now I will need that time to get prepared again.
Ну, опять же, мы будем со Скоттом обсуждать.
And certainly we'll be discussing that with Scott.
То есть, конечно, он будет организовывать соревнования.
And certainly he will be the one to
Он дает нам
organize
возможность
the
выступать.
tournament because he gives us the opportunity to perform and to fight.
Вот. А насчет переживаний нет, я не переживал.
As you know, was I nervous during that time? No, I was not very nervous.
Потому что если так случилось, значит, Господь так управил.
If it happened that way, that means that was God's plan.
Я принимаю все как есть.
And I accept it the way it is.
Спасибо большое, Федор Владимирович. Анатолий, пару слов скажешь про свой первый бой. Все-таки прекрасно победил. Зрители аплодировали. Scott, few words about Anatoly, his first fight, first win.
Yeah, he looked very good, and I was impressed, and it was an exciting fight, and it went back and forth, had some good transitions, and we're looking forward to having him back soon.
Anatoly, just several words from you about your first fight. That was very successful, beautiful fight, and a lot of applause from fans and spectators. Would you kindly tell a few words?
Ну, я очень рад, что мой первый бой, то, что я его выиграл, первый бой в Америке.
I'm very happy that my very first fight in America, and I won the fight.
Не совсем, конечно, доволен боем, но все равно очень рад, что выиграл.
Well, I'm not really very satisfied with, my work, but I'm very happy to win.
Ну и буду рад вернуться снова сюда.
And I will be very glad to be back here.
Great. And one more thing before we bring up the 172 competitors, I think you guys had an announcement to make.
Yeah, so we had hoped that this would be a different circumstance that Matt and Fedor would have fought, and win or lose, Fedor said that the sweater that he wears, so it's here. So Jerry has a sweater, but so this is the world famous sweater from the video, and Fedor's sweater. But round of applause from Tracy back there. But anyway, what Fedor has agreed to do is he's going to auction off the sweater. So we're going to auction it off through the Bellator channels. We'll announce how we're going to do it soon. But we're going to auction it off for a nonprofit organization. And so let everybody know, please, within the next week we'll have some more information. And then we can, you guys can bid on, I think, King Mo, you look really good in this sweater. But so thank you, Fedor. This is a great cause.
Great, and we'll actually invite Fedor and Anatoly to stay on stage, as well as the rest of the competitors. If you could take your seats now, we'll open it up for the rest of you for some questions about tonight's fights. So we'll just go ahead and open it up for questions right now.
Start with Josh, if we could. I know this was a big night for you. You were excited about it. It certainly didn't end the way that I imagine you'd hope. Can you talk about kind of the emotions that you're feeling right now? Because you said all week long leading into it, it was like the greatest week you'd ever had. So, how does it feel now?
It's fight's a fight. The fight's game's a fight game. We all know that. So, shit happens. I mean, this is the game. Like, you come in, you want to win. That's every fighter's, mindset, right? When they step in there. If it's not their mindset, get the fuck out, right? So my mindset was to go in there and win. I could have changed a couple little things, I felt like the only difference was I felt like I got hit with the headbutt first before I went down. But all that stuff aside, though, he was fighting a good fight before that. So it doesn't, I can complain about it, but the issue is that I felt like it was the headbutt that got me first, and then I know he hit me again after that. So it's the fight game, man. What are you going to do? It happens in boxing, it happens in MMA, shit happens.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I mean, do you feel like that clash of heads there, that headbutt factored into the finish? Because it did seem like it happened pretty shortly after.
Yeah, no, he hit me a good one. Yeah, we banged heads pretty hard. So, yeah, no, it definitely rocked me. That was kind of, it is what it is, man. We'll see. I mean, put it this way, I thought, I had people coming to tell me that it was a pretty intense headbutt. I knew that it rocked me, but I was like, okay, I can still go. But then he hit me again right away. So, it is what it is, man. This is the fight game. This is what happens. And you can't whine about it, cry about it. This is it.
And Patrick, I guess I'd ask you as well, certainly not to take away from the victory because it was an impressive performance and obviously an incredible uppercut there to finish the fight. But, did you feel that clash of heads and do you feel that maybe that did factor all it into the result?
Foi uma ótima luta. Ele sentiu o upper, mas você sentiu o cabeçada também e você acha que isso mudou a luta?
Eu vim ver depois que aconteceu a cabeçada no Instagram, quando eu cheguei no vestiário.
He didn't even know it was a headbutt until he saw it on an Instagram a clip when he got to the locker room.
Eu não sabia que ele tinha batido, tinha tido choque de cabeça, mas eu acho que não foi isso que definiu a luta.
I didn't know there really was a headbutt, like I said, but I don't think that defined the fight.
No more questions. You want to talk about, you cut a great promo at the end of the fight after your win. Do you want to talk a little bit more about your performance and what it meant to you?
Well, it's the first time that I have this kind of exposure in a big show, in a main card on this magnitude, and I'm really, really happy with that, with my performance. I think one of the first times that I look at myself after the fight and I say, well, I performed the way I can, I performed the way I trained for. And a fight that Josh Koscheck was a big name, a history he has on 170 pounds, 170 pounds. It's huge for me. It's a big victory of my life. And I'm really happy to fly high now.
And Czech, you were trading in the clinch and had a great win tonight. You want to talk a little bit about your performance?
The thing is, a win is a win. So I was a little bit, for sure, I was not a little bit, but I was completely upset because Oli used to be a really good partner, and also a friend. So we used to create some teammate relation, and the fact, to see him, to facing him tonight, fighting wasn't a really good inspiration. So I have a lot of anger against him. Probably the anger, used to make me blind, on the game plan. But so it's not like it's not a wish to hurt him, but I was really upset and I wanted to fuck him up. More than that, so and I'm sorry about my language, but that's what I have in mind. So I don't know. So the thing is, for sure, stay focused on the win, and yeah.
Thanks, Chuck. I had a quick question for Anatoly, please. Just wanted to ask what the emotions were like tonight for Anatoly, because I'm sure he didn't want anything to happen to Fedor and for him to lose his fight, but because of that, he was elevated to the main card, got a lot of new exposure that he wouldn't have gotten. And so how did he feel about that whole experience?
Анатолий, вопрос к вам. Каковы ваши впечатления? Вы не знали то, что происходит с Федором, да, вы готовились к своему бою, думали о том, чтобы не проиграть, но от того, что у Федора бой не состоялся, вас как бы с андекарта передвинули на мейн-карт. И вы получили такую возможность получить более широкую аудиторию.
Я когда приехал сюда, в зал, мы посмотрели список, у меня, получается, 3-й бой сначала был.
When I arrived to Arena today, we looked at the list, at the schedule of fights, and my fight was supposed to be the 3rd one.
Я обрадовался, думаю, хорошо, ждать долго не надо будет.
And I was so happy because, I didn't have to wait for a long time.
Уже и тейпы сделали, и все.
And I got the tapes already, and we were ready.
Думал, начну разминаться, готовиться к бою, и заходит.
And well, I was thinking that's the time for me to start to warm up, and all of a sudden, they enter the locker.
Судьи, люди, я не знаю, кто там. Судьи
Well,
зашли.
Referees or commission, yeah.
И сказали, что у меня бой будет намного позже.
And they told me that the fight will
Тут я чуть-чуть
take
расстроился.
place later, and then I was a little bit upset.
My question is for Czech Congo. Where do you see yourself after a dominant performance in relation to the heavyweight division in Bellator right now?
The thing is, it's pretty difficult. So I don't know. The thing is, I just try to improve, and stay consistent. And for sure, just putting more victories on my side with the team is great. So I don't know. Just try to be constant, and hopefully I will get the chance to get something better.
Yeah, question for Josh, real quick. And obviously it was a tough night for you, but definitely it seemed like the fact that you were elevated to the main event kind of was a little consolation for the fans here in San Jose. Can you just talk about the support you had tonight?
Oh, the support here has always been amazing. It doesn't matter. It's been here since Strikeforce kickboxing days. It's amazing here. So, you have other promoters that have said this isn't a fight town, and I think they're just ridiculous. That's why we always come back here. The fans here are just the greatest. You have the Bay Area, all the way from Sacramento, from the guys up there, all the way down to San Francisco, where guys that are out of there, down to San Jose. This is the fight town. People need to understand that this arena will always get packed. Doesn't matter what it is. It's amazing. It's an amazing experience to fight in this arena. There's no better arena to fight in the world.
I think it's very well put, Josh, because I thought the crowd were amazing tonight, given that Fedor wasn't on the card. It was one of those kind of wider questions I wanted to put to Scott, really, that perhaps because the model you've got at Viacom with Bellator, that you're not a pay-per-view channel, there was, having looked through your Twitter when you announced it, as you did earlier on, that there was a ready acceptance that things go wrong in fight sports. And as Josh says, this is very much a fight town, and the fans still came out and supported it. Could you give me your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, we've put on some amazing fights in this city, and when we started with MMA in 2006, I think we put on some of history. I mean, the Thompson Melendez fights that came on here were, just spectacular. We had Kung Lee, Frank Shamrock. That was probably one of the most amazing nights in this building. But I think you had to be here, to really appreciate it and understand it. And when this thing gets rocking, man, it really gets rocking. And I know that these fighters stepped up because, they knew that the main event had to be changed. And Pitbull and Josh were in the main event. I think they stepped up and everybody fought their hearts out tonight. And so it's our fans love it, man. This is a like I said, Josh said, this is a great fight town. And we're going to keep bringing big fights here. And if you think about it, earlier someone was saying, well, leagues get, devastated or crushed by something like this. But you know what? We've been here. This is my 31st year in the fight promotion business. I mean, we're not going anywhere. This is something that, it was unexpected. We didn't want it to happen. It happened, and we're just going to move forward. I mean, if you look at the fights that Bellator has, in the queue, you're talking about Rampage fighting King Mo. You're talking about Strauss Pitbull. That's going to be an unbelievable fight. McDonald for fighting Paul Daly. I mean, we're going to put on world-class fights at the highest level, compared to anybody. And we're going to keep moving forward, man. This company, and I want to say this company Bellator, but also Viacom that backs up Bellator, or that owns Bellator, actually. They're behind it. I mean, from the top of the company, down. There's a mandate that we're going to drive this, and we're going to keep signing more free agents. And we're going to keep moving forward, and we're going to reschedule this fight, and then there'll be another opportunity for everybody to come out and watch Fedor fight, because it is special. I mean, Fedor is an athlete that has already done it all. He doesn't even have to fight, but he's here because he wants to compete and he wants to show what he can do. And tonight was an unfortunate situation, but for 31 years in the fight business, this is the first time it's ever happened where we lost the main event the day of the show, hours before the show happened, and it's not a good feeling. But to me, this is a unfortunate situation that we'll learn from, and we're going to move forward.
Can I just press you on that point, though?
Sure.
But does it help you in business terms that it's not a pay-per-view model, because that presumably would have been disastrous?
Yeah, I mean, if this fight was a pay-per-view fight, then the fans would have been freaking out because they just pay $60. But right now we're a Spike TV product, and you can watch it on Spike for free. And I think the fights that we put on delivered. Would have been that much more spectacular if Fedor fought, of course, because he's Fedor. But we'll have to just reschedule and do it another time.
This one's for Scott again. Do you think all the fighters sitting next to you in the main event, you had 4 finishes and 1 dominant performance by Congo? Do you think they did enough to somewhat save the card tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys fought their hearts out, And it's funny, not funny, but while I was here with Pitbull, I mean, Michael Chandler's blowing up my phone, man. He's like, I want that fight. Give me that fight. So, when I think about
tonight, this is my time, no yours.
Yeah. So it's what, it's when I think about these guys elevating their game, I was getting texts from some of the guys saying, "Hey, we're gonna step it up." The coaches are like, "We're gonna step it up," and I think it was a great night of fights.
My first question is for Josh. Josh, this is, of course, fighting in your home ground. I'm right here, sorry. Fighting in your home ground, and this being your first KO in quite some time. I believe it's been 13 years. What's your game plan? It's a knockout. You're not used to it's been 13 years since you left and knocked out.
There's really no game plans for when you lose. You go back to the drawing board, you get back to the gym, and you rely on your coaches and your teammates to lift your ass back up and get you back in there. That's really what it comes down to. Like, I mean, I'm going to stick around. I think I'm going to have a couple more in me. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. I feel like the layoff I felt great in there tonight. I can't even say layoff, man. I felt amazing tonight. I wasn't breathing heavy. Felt great. I can't say there was any ring rust. I actually felt amazing. I came after the first round. I was like, didn't feel winded, didn't feel anything. I felt like I just need to go out there and do a little bit more. And, shit happens. This is the game. This is the fight game. People need to understand that this is the fight game. I get it. It's been years of me doing this. This is coming up on 17 years now I've been doing this, fighting in the best leagues in the world. Scott's promoted me for 3/4 of my life. Been blessed. So, I'm going to go home, go back to the drawing board with my teammates, and we're going to get this shit worked out.
And I got a question for you, Scott. Josh is on his 6th consecutive loss in his professional career. Where do you foresee his career in Bellator to proceed?
Could you ask that question one more time?
Since he's on his 6th loss in his professional career, how do you feel that he's going to, I guess you would say, perform? How many fights does he have left on his contract? I'm not even sure.
Are you talking about Josh?
Koscheck.
Okay. So, you know what? It wasn't the performance that I'm sure he had planned or that we were expecting, but you got to give it up to him. I mean, he came out here and he was a tough guy. He had to beat him. So, with Josh, I'm not sure. We'll sit down and talk with him and the coaches, but there's going to be a time where that's enough. This is a very brutal sport. It's dangerous. People get hurt, and we don't want that to happen.
Scott, this is not exactly related to tonight's show, but a couple questions as far as going forward. Nikita Krylov and Misha Serkinov's name have kind of popped up as far as perhaps being available on the free agent market, and I don't know if some of those names kind of surprised me, but have you kind of heard about that, thought about that? Any early thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can say that is when we heard that they were available, I asked Rich to look into it, but we were so busy with this fight because it was such a big event for us. We said we'll pick it up again next week, so we might have something for you. But we're definitely going to look into it. I mean, the company mandate has been, look, we're going to find the best guys in the world. It doesn't matter where they live, or the best girls in the world. Doesn't matter where they live, and we're going to bring them to Bellator.
And also, we haven't talked about this in a while, but is there anything new on Aaron Pico as far as fighting?
Yes, I think Aaron's going to be ready to fight sometime in the late summer, and we're going to get him really busy and fighting a lot. hopefully in the next 12 months.
Quick one for Czech, please. Since it does seem like, the future is a little bit uncertain right now, I wonder if for any reason Matt Mitrione isn't able to take this fight with Fedor Emelianenko, is that a fight that interests you?
Everything is, what should we say, is great. The thing is, if I have to fight him, it will be great. I will talk about that also with my team to set up the right thing for myself. But as usual, I never refuse anything. So, if I have to face him one day, it will be great. So, I'm still I'm still in the game, and we will see what the future, is waiting for me.
Вопрос к Федору Владимировичу и к Скотту Коткеру. Федор Владимирович, скажите, пожалуйста, у вас со Скоттом не было обсуждения того, чтобы провести турнир Bellator в России?
Fyodor, the question to you and Scott, did you have maybe any discussion with Scott about organizing some kind of tournament in Russia, tournament of Bellator?
I can answer that. No, we haven't talked about that, no. But, I think it would be fantastic to go to Russia and promote a Bellator event. But we haven't talked about a tournament in Russia or having, actually sit down and talk about the logistics of actually throwing an event there. But it's something that maybe we could, discuss next time we see each other.
I want to fight in Russian.
Great.
Jerry, where's the sweater? Let's bring it up.
Говорит, он будет ставить, будет участвовать в аукционе.
You feel the power?
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.